All right, this is a fun and unexpectedly quick follow up to a video we just did about how Time Magazine humiliated Donald Trump by putting Elon Musk on its cover, depicting Musk as the true president of the United States. Well, it turns out Trump was actually asked about this by reporters on camera during a White House meeting with the Japanese prime minister, and Trump became visibly distraught and flustered over it, and we have to talk about it. But before we do, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, I didn't think we'd have to talk about this again so soon, but it's too damn funny not to. As a reminder, or for those of you who have not seen the video, Time Magazine, which is a magazine that Donald Trump has long revered, depicted Elon Musk on its cover as sitting behind the presidential desk, the Resolute desk, as the true president of the United States. Again, confirming or feeding into the increasingly held perception that Musk is the true president and Donald Trump is merely a puppet. Well, during a meeting at the White House with the Japanese prime minister, Trump was asked about this, and I want you just take it all in. How he reacts, the look on his face, the tone of his voice. He is so visibly distraught, and he also tries to lie and cover, pretending indifference to what Time did. It's so good.
Reaction to the new Time Magazine cover that has Elon Musk sitting behind your Resolute desk?
タイムマガジンにイーロン・マスクが大統領の机の後ろで座っている写真がありますけども、それに関するコメントは何かありますか?
Is Time Magazine still in business? I didn't even know that.
まだタイムマガジンは廃刊じゃないんですか?
Elon is doing a great job. He's finding tremendous fraud and corruption and waste. You see it with the USAID, but you're going to see it even more so with other agencies and other parts of government. He's got a staff that's fantastic. He's wanted to be able to do this for a long time, and everybody else knew it was existent, but I think never so much when you look at USAID.
So, do you hear? I mean, the emotion, the distress, he's looking away. You can hear the melancholy, the forlornness in his voice. You know, no, I didn't see that. I mean, is Time Magazine still in business? I didn't know that. Again, trying to deflect with a joke and then quickly crumbling. It's so sad. And of course, Fact Post, which is a Democratic-sponsored Twitter account that tries to fact check and hold Trump accountable, they're having a field day with this.
Do you have a reaction to the new Time Magazine cover that has Elon Musk sitting behind your Resolute desk?
タイムマガジン
That's too good. It's too good. So, again, before we get into some of the things that Trump said about Musk and USAID, I just want to remind you, when he says, is Time Magazine still in business? I didn't even know that. He's either lying, and again, I said this the other day, the problem with Trump is that he says things sometimes where you're like, okay, he's either lying, which is bad because he's a pathological liar par excellence, peerless in that respect, or he's really stupid, perhaps even cognitively impaired. And you have to ask the question here, was he lying or is he cognitively impaired? Because this was about a month and a half ago. That's Donald Trump being rung in at the New York Stock Exchange after being named Time's Person of the Year, with Time, the word Time behind him, and the cover of his Time Person of the Year magazine. This was 6 weeks ago. He also posted about it on Drive Essential, how it started with a picture of his own mugshot, how it's going, Person of the Year by Time by Donald Trump. As a matter of fact, Fox News reported about this. Trump posts how it's going message contrasting Time Person of the Year cover with a mugshot. And then it described the ceremony about the Time Magazine Person of the Year honor. Quote, Trump, in a ceremony after the announcement, called it, quote, an honor. So, and also, thank you very much for doing it. Thank the whole group at Time, really professional people. So, of course, Trump knows this is a magazine, again, that he has long revered, long worshipped. He wants to be on the cover. He wants to be Person of the Year. He probably wants to be Person of the Century, although we're still, not that far into it, relatively speaking. He just can't help it. But the fact that Time slighted him by depicting the obvious fact, which is that Elon Musk is at the very least a co-president de facto, if not the true de facto president of the United States. That stings Donald Trump, someone as fragile as he is. And watching it on his face and hearing it in his voice is just too damn delicious. But let's deal with the substance of what Trump said, to the extent that there's any substance at all. He's like, Elon's great. Elon is finding a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse. USAID. Just want a couple of things. I want to remind you of a couple of things. The USAID, agency that Musk has targeted. It's kind of some sketchy things going on here, as I'm sure you've seen in the news. So there's an alleged USAID probe into Starlink that raised concerns about a conflicts of interest with Elon Musk. USAID was investigating its relationship with Starlink just months before tech billionaire Elon Musk attempted to shut the agency down, according to reports. The freezes and cuts to the Foreign Aid Department, spearheaded by Musk as a head of the Department of Government Efficiency, raised questions of a potential conflict of interest, as Musk is the owner of Starlink, a subsidiary of his company SpaceX. Newsweek contacted Elon Musk and Starlink through SpaceX via email. Why it matters. Fears that Musk and others could use their positions in government to benefit themselves have been around since Donald Trump won the 2024 election. The move to dismantle USAID is the first major policy decision Musk has made, and the way it is handled will be indicative of how powerful he'll be over the next few years. During a meeting at the House Foreign Affairs Subcommittee on Oversight and Accountability in September, USAID Inspector General Paul K. Martin told Congress that the agency was examining its relationship with Starlink, one of Musk's most prominent tech ventures. In 2022, USAID and Starlink collaborated to provide 5,000 Starlink terminals to Ukraine to give the country fighting Russian invasion access to Musk's advanced internet system operated through SpaceX, as reported by The Lever. Quote, in addition to another ongoing audit on direct budget support, we are examining USAID's energy security project, USAID's oversight of Starlink satellite terminals provided to the Ukrainian government, and USAID's efforts to protect against sexual exploitation and abuse in Ukraine, Martin told Congress. When completed, we look forward to sharing the findings of these reports with the subcommittee. However, one of Musk's first moves as DOGE chief has been to dismantle USAID, convincing the Trump administration that the agency is a waste of federal spending and not fit for purpose. This raises a potential conflict of interest, as Musk's company was under investigation by USAID shortly before he began calling for the shutdown. Starlink's activity in Eastern Europe has been criticized, with many Russian operatives claiming to have access to Starlink despite Musk's assurances that only Ukraine was using the service. Additionally, in September last year, Ukrainian forces downed a Russian drone that had a Starlink terminal integrated with its systems, raising questions as to how secure Starlink's operations during the Ukraine war are. That does sure seem like a conflict of interest, and as a matter of fact, you may recall that Trump's own press secretary, Carolyn Leavitt, said that, well, as concerns potential conflicts of interest, Elon Musk will examine these situations as they come up, and he will excuse himself from scenarios and circumstances under which there might be a conflict of interest, strongly insinuating that Musk himself is the ultimate arbiter over whether or not he excuses himself from DOGE-related activities in the event of a conflict of interest. Kind of like how our own Supreme Court of the United States, these unelected lifelong appointees, they get to determine whether or not they should recuse themselves based on their own personal assessment. So it doesn't seem like there's some sort of robust oversight apparatus that will force Elon Musk to recuse himself or to distance himself in the event of a conflict of interest. And based on this reporting about, DOGE being investigated or examined under USAID, and the fact that Elon Musk has effectively shut down USAID unilaterally, it sure seems like there's nothing protecting us from Elon Musk's conflict of interest. Another thing Trump said during that question and answer session, where he became visibly distraught over the fact that, again, Time depicts accurately the fact that Musk is at least a co-president for all intents and purposes. Trump claimed, Musk has some great people. He's got great staff, great people. DOGE, they know what they're doing. But as we discussed yesterday, one of two major engineers at DOGE, one of two granted access by a federal judge to read-only permissions of our most sensitive Treasury payment information, potentially including our own Social Security numbers, one of two that was granted such access by the judge, within 12 hours resigned because it was revealed by investigative journalists that within the past 7 months, he was posting a bunch of racist and eugenic shit on another Twitter account. Probably do a different story about this as well, because now Elon Musk is talking about whether or not to rehire this person after he resigned. They're like, this kid, anybody makes mistakes. And that's true. We should be able to offer the roads to redemption. But this guy's not a kid. He's 25 years old, which you would think would be well old enough to not be, a racist. Food for thought. So anyway, this is Donald Trump's very best, very fine people. Also point out, just on a slightly different vector, that the same DOGE people, they sent emails out to federal judges by mistake. One of the people who received an email from allies of Elon Musk was a federal judge overseeing a lawsuit aimed at blocking these messages. Quote, I, like probably every other judge in the country, also received the Office of Personnel Management email, U.S. District Judge Randolph Daniel Moss said in a hearing related to the lawsuit on Thursday. Quote, I did not respond to it. I suspect it was sent to the judges by mistake. Newsweek reached out to the Department of Government Efficiency for comment via email on Thursday. 2 federal employees filed lawsuit against the OPM on January 27th, alleging that the agency, along with Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, used an unsecure server to blast out emails to more than 2 million federal employees, violating federal law and potentially compromising workers' privacy. And then it turns out they accidentally sent some emails to a bunch of federal judges. They don't seem particularly competent. And again, I'll just point out as a general thing, Musk's notions about USAID are rooted in conspiracy theory, baseless conspiracy theory. Most of Musk, and this is from an NBC report, most of Musk's more than 160 posts about USAID have been responses to a handful of small but influential verified accounts, many of them using pseudonyms. The most popular, including posts from the Wall Street Apes, Kanika the Great, Chief Nerd, and Autism Capital, have been viewed hundreds of millions of times, amplified by Musk and his 216 followers, according to X metrics. As the theories spread, they are repackaged and in many cases added upon to further the claims. A review of the account's profiles reveals how a lengthy crusade to paint USAID as a malevolent force built up in recent years in a relatively fringe internet circle, only to be suddenly elevated and acted upon by Musk. The pattern is similar to one that played out with the so-called Twitter files in 2022, when selectively framed narratives and out-of-context internal documents were weaponized to fuel allegations of a grand government censorship conspiracy, and is one likely to continue under Trump and Musk, who have histories of trafficking and falsehoods. Musk has not offered evidence for his descriptions of USAID. In an X space, in an X space, he called it a ball of worms. Trump said in a report on its tremendous fraud is forthcoming and released a list of projects funded by the agency, including efforts to deport diversity and inclusion and examples of projects that had unintended and problematic consequences, including agriculture work that wound up supporting poppy farming in Afghanistan. The Trump administration, Musk, and the State Department, which now oversees USAID, did not respond to requests for comments. In recent days, Musk has promoted an anonymous account, Data Republican, and a corresponding searchable website of government grants and charities. X users have taken to plugging in the names of politicians and media figures who have spoken out against the shuttering of USAID and charting organizations they're connecting to, misrepresenting their opposition. Quote, the money laundering is done through several intermediaries, Musk posted on Thursday. Again, citing no evidence whatsoever, but just indulging in baseless conspiracy theory. So in addition to Trump being visibly distraught over what Time Magazine did, either lying or being visibly confused about the fact that Time Magazine exists, given that he was also, within the past 6 weeks, on their cover as Person of the Year, and he said it was an honor, and he thanked Time for putting him on that cover as Person of the Year, and then he attended a ceremony with loud ringing bells and at the New York Stock Exchange. He also lied to your face about Elon Musk and USAID. So, food for thought. Donald Trump, insecure, dishonest, cognitively impaired, perhaps all three, once again humiliated in front of our very eyes by Elon Musk, his puppet master. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.